80 million Americans. That's how many people are about to be impacted by what's developing right now across the continent. And the strangest part? Two completely opposite weather extremes are happening simultaneously. While California drowns under feet of snow and relentless rain, the East Coast just experienced Christmas Eve warm enough for shorts and t-shirts. Something's broken in the pattern. And in the next 30 seconds, I'm going to show you the 3 warning signs that your area is next. Here's your reward for staying with me. Meteorologists are tracking a storm system that could dump 7 inches of snow on New York City by Friday. 7 inches. But some computer models are screaming 12. Others are whispering 3. Who's right? The answer matters to 50 million people. Let me show you something that'll make your jaw drop. Pull up a map of the United States in your mind. Now, imagine winter storm watches covering an area bigger than California. That's real. That's happening right now. Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, all under alerts. But here's the twist nobody's talking about. This isn't even the main event. 20 to 30 states just recorded their warmest December temperatures in years. People riding bicycles on Christmas Eve, temperatures in the 60 seconds and 70 seconds across the South in late December. Does that strike you as normal? It's not random. There's a reason, and understanding that reason is the key to knowing what's coming next. High above Canada, specifically Western Canada, there's a pool of air so cold it's making meteorologists nervous. We're talking 20 to 30 degrees below average. Historic cold, just sitting there, waiting. Now, you might be thinking, if it's so cold in Canada, why is it warm here? Great question. The answer involves something called the jet stream. Picture a river of air, 5 to 7 miles above your head, moving west to east at over 100 miles per hour. That's the jet stream. It's the boundary between cold Arctic air and warmer southern air. Right now, that river is taking a very unusual path. It's allowing warm Gulf air to surge northward while keeping Arctic air locked up in Canada. But patterns don't last forever. They break. They shift. And when this one breaks, everything changes. Here's what keeps me up at night. We're not just talking about one cold snap. The long-range models, the sophisticated computer simulations that peer weeks into the future, they're showing multiple waves of cold air pushing south through January and into February. Think about that. Multiple waves. Not just a day or two of cold weather. We're talking about a pattern shift that could redefine what winter feels like this year. But before we get there, we have to navigate what's happening this week. And what's happening is significant. Let me paint the picture for Thursday night into Friday. A storm system, gathering moisture from the Atlantic, meeting cold air dropping from Canada, creating what meteorologists call a dynamic situation. Dynamic is code for unpredictable. It means small changes create big differences. Right now, the National Weather Service is forecasting 7 inches of snow for New York City. These aren't amateur hour predictions. These are professional meteorologists, people who've spent decades studying weather, putting their reputation on the line with these numbers. But here's where it gets complicated, and this is important. Not every computer model agrees. The European model says, yes, significant snow. The American GFS model says, yes, maybe even more snow. But the North American model, the NAM, it's doing something completely different. It's showing a track that would take much of the heavy snow out to sea. 3 models, 3 different stories. Which one do you believe? The answer is, you prepare for all of them. You hope for the best, prepare for the worst, and stay flexible. Now, at the 5-minute mark, I promised you specific details. Let me deliver on that promise. If you live anywhere from Boston to Philadelphia, listen carefully. The timeline matters. Thursday afternoon, the storm is still gathering strength over the Midwest. Light snow begins in Wisconsin and Minnesota. Not the headline maker, but it's the beginning. Thursday evening, precipitation begins creeping into Pennsylvania. Starts as snow in the higher elevations, mixed precipitation in the valleys. This is where temperature becomes everything. Thursday night into early Friday morning, the storm intensifies. Heavy snow develops across the interior Northeast. New York City begins seeing snow around midnight. It comes down steadily through the night. Friday morning rush hour, this is the critical window. If the storm performs as forecast, roads will be snow-covered, dangerous, travel will be hazardous. Friday afternoon, the storm begins pulling away. Snow tapers off, but the damage is done. Accumulations are on the ground. Now here's something crucial that most forecasts won't tell you. The southern edge of this snow is going to be knife sharp. What does that mean practically? It means someone in northern New Jersey could get 7 inches, while someone 20 miles south gets 2 inches of sleet and rain. That's sharp, that precise. And predicting exactly where that line sets up? That's the forecasting challenge. A 30-mile shift north or south changes everything. Philadelphia, you're right on that line. You could end up with significant snow, or you could end up with mostly sleet and freezing rain, or you could end up with rain. All 3 outcomes are possible with current data. Baltimore, you're probably looking at rain. Maybe some snow to start, but rain takes over. Washington, D.C., rain. The warm air wins in your location. But Richmond, Norfolk, you're definitely rain. You're far enough south that snow isn't in the cards for this system. Now let's talk about something that doesn't get enough attention. Ice. While everyone focuses on snow totals, ice accumulation can be far more dangerous. In parts of Pennsylvania, western Maryland, they're looking at significant ice potential. 0.3 of an inch. That's the forecast for ice accumulation in the mountains. Doesn't sound like much, does it? Let me give you context. 1/4 inch of ice can snap tree branches, bring down power lines, create dangerous road conditions that persist for days. We're forecasting more than that. We're forecasting conditions that could lead to widespread power outages in areas that will be experiencing temperatures in the 20 seconds. Think about that scenario. No power, temperatures below freezing. That's not just inconvenient. For vulnerable populations, that's dangerous. And this is where community becomes critical. This is where our faith calls us to action. Checking on elderly neighbors isn't just nice, it's potentially life-saving. The Bible talks about bearing one another's burdens. Weather events like this are exactly what that verse is talking about. We have the knowledge, the warning, the time to prepare and help others prepare. That's a gift. That's divine providence working through science and technology. Now, let me address California, because while the East is focused on this upcoming storm, the West is dealing with something historic. Atmospheric river. You've probably heard that term. It's exactly what it sounds like, a river of moisture in the atmosphere flowing from the Pacific Ocean directly into California. When these hit, they hit hard. Rainfall rates exceeding 1 inch per hour. In the mountains, snow measured in feet, not inches. The Sierra Nevada has seen multiple feet already, with another 2 to 3 feet forecast. That's good news for water supply. California desperately needs the moisture. Years of drought have stressed the system. This atmospheric river is helping recharge reservoirs, rebuild snowpack, but there's a dark side. This much rain, this fast, especially on burned areas from previous wildfires, creates mudslide conditions. Southern California has already seen highways close, homes threatened, in some cases, homes damaged or destroyed, rock slides blocking roads. It's a dangerous situation, and it's not over. This pattern continues through the holiday week. More rain, more snow, more hazards. Interstate 80, the main artery between California and Nevada, has seen multiple closures. Highway 50, same story. Travel through the Sierra is nearly impossible unless you're in a heavy vehicle with chains, and even then, it's questionable. If you're in California and thinking about mountain travel, don't. Wait, let the storm pass. Let the roads get cleared. Your life is worth more than keeping a schedule. Now, here's something fascinating. The California storm and the Northeast storm are connected, different manifestations of the same atmospheric pattern. That blocking high over Western Canada, it's forcing the jet stream into a configuration that brings moisture to California while simultaneously setting up cold air to eventually plunge into the east. It's all one system, one pattern playing out across 3,000 miles. And as we look ahead into January, that pattern persists, maybe even intensifies. The European weekly forecasts, these are sophisticated long-range tools. They're consistently showing below-average temperatures for the eastern 2/3 of the United States heading into late January. Not just a day or two. 7-day averages, multiple weeks of below normal temperatures. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that's guaranteed. Long-range forecasting has inherent uncertainty. But when multiple models, multiple forecast systems all show similar trends, you pay attention. What does this mean for you? It means don't pack away the winter gear after this week's storm. It means keep the snow shovel handy. It means if you're planning outdoor activities in January, have backup plans. But it also means opportunity, real winter, the kind of winter that creates memories. Kids building snowmen, families sledding together, the unique beauty of fresh snow. We've become so conditioned to view winter weather as purely negative that we forget it can also be wonderful. God created seasons for a reason. Winter has purpose. Yes, it's cold. Yes, it can be challenging. But it's also part of the natural rhythm of creation. And maybe, just maybe, a winter that actually feels like winter reconnects us with something we've lost in our climate-controlled world. Let me give you some practical wisdom. Step-by-step preparation for what's coming. Step 1. Inventory your emergency supplies now. Flashlights, batteries, first aid kit. Don't wait until Thursday. Step 2. Fill your gas tank. If power goes out, gas pumps don't work. You want a full tank before the storm. Step 3. Charge everything. Phone, laptop, tablet, backup batteries. Whatever holds a charge, charge it fully. Step 4. Water. Fill some containers with drinking water. If power goes out for extended periods, water systems can be affected. Step 5. Food. Not panic buying. Just make sure you have enough non-perishable food for a few days. Things you can eat without cooking if necessary. Step 6. Medications. If you take prescription medications, make sure you have adequate supply. This is critical for seniors and people with chronic conditions. Step 7. Cash. ATMs need electricity. Have some cash on hand just in case. Step 8. And this is the most important. Check on your neighbors, especially the elderly, especially those who live alone. Community isn't just a word, it's how we're called to live. Now, let me talk about something meteorologists struggle with. Communicating uncertainty. We live in a world that wants definitive answers. Black or white, yes or no. But weather doesn't work that way. When we say 7 inches of snow, what we really mean is, based on current data and models, 7 inches is our best estimate, but the range of possible outcomes spans from 3 to 12 inches. But if we communicated that way every time, people would tune out. So we simplify. We give the most likely number. The problem is, people then treat that number as gospel. They make plans around it. They get upset when reality doesn't match the forecast. So let me be clear. Every forecast has uncertainty. The question is, how much? For this Thursday-Friday storm, uncertainty is higher than usual because we're dealing with precipitation-type issues. The line between snow, sleet, freezing rain, and rain is temperature-dependent, and temperature forecasts in winter, especially in this type of pattern, they're tricky. A 2-degree difference changes everything. And 2 degrees is well within the margin of error for temperature forecasts 48 to 72 hours out. So when you see that 7-inch forecast for New York City, understand it could be 10, it could be 4. We're giving you our best estimate based on imperfect information about a chaotic system. That's not an excuse, it's reality. And honesty about that reality builds trust. Speaking of trust, let me address something. Why should you trust weather forecasts at all? Fair question. Especially when forecasts sometimes bust, when the predicted snow doesn't materialize or comes heavier than expected. Here's the truth. Weather forecasting has improved dramatically over the last few decades. A 5-day forecast today is as accurate as a 2-day forecast was 30 years ago. That's incredible progress. We're better at this than we've ever been. But we're not perfect. We're predicting the future state of a complex, chaotic system with billions of variables. The atmosphere doesn't care about our models. It does what it does based on physics. Our job is to understand that physics well enough to predict it. Most of the time, we do pretty well. Sometimes, we miss. And when we miss, we analyze why. We learn, and we improve. That's science. That's the process. Observation, prediction, verification, adjustment, and it's a process that, at its core, is about understanding creation, understanding the laws and patterns that govern our world. There's something deeply humbling about that. We're using minds that we've been given to understand systems that are infinitely complex. And we're doing it to serve others, to keep people safe, to help communities prepare. That's not just meteorology. That's stewardship. That's using our gifts for the common good. Now, as we push into next week, beyond this immediate storm, the pattern continues to evolve. That Arctic air I mentioned locked up in Canada, it starts making moves south, not all at once, in waves. Monday into Tuesday. The first significant push, cold air sweeps through the upper Midwest. Wisconsin sees temperatures near or below zero. Wind chills dangerous. That cold continues east and south. By Tuesday, it reaches the Gulf Coast. North Florida sees freezing temperatures. The Panhandle definitely does. Wednesday, the cold moderates slightly but remains below average across much of the east. Thursday into Friday, another reinforcing shot of cold air, not as intense as the first wave, but enough to keep temperatures suppressed. And then, as we approach New Year's, the models are hinting at another storm potential. Too early to say with certainty, too early to issue forecasts, but the pattern supports it. Northwest flow, cold air in place, moisture available. Those are the ingredients for East Coast winter storms. If it develops, and that's still a big if, it could affect anywhere from the mid-Atlantic to New England. Could be snow, could be mixed precipitation, could be a coastal storm that stays offshore. We'll know more in the coming days, but it's something to watch. Now, let me talk about the Rockies, because Colorado and Utah have had a rough start to winter. Ski resorts operating on minimal snow, drought conditions persisting. It's been heartbreaking for anyone who loves winter sports or depends on snowpack for water supply. But there's hope. This weekend into early next week, snow chances increase. Not massive amounts, but it's a start. And as we push into January, if that pattern shift happens, if we tap into more moisture, the Rockies could start seeing more consistent precipitation. That would be answered prayer for many people. Water is life in the West. Snowpack is the savings account that gets withdrawn in summer. Without adequate snow, summer water supplies are stressed. So when we talk about weather patterns, we're not just talking about inconvenience or travel disruptions, we're talking about water security, agricultural viability, economic impacts that ripple through entire regions. Weather matters. Climate patterns matter, not in an abstract way, but in deeply practical ways that affect real lives. And this is where science and faith intersect beautifully. We study creation to understand it. We understand it to steward it well. We steward it to serve others. That's the chain. Knowledge leading to wisdom, leading to service. Let me address something I know some of you are thinking. What about climate change? It's a fair question. We're seeing extreme weather, warm Decembers followed by cold Januaries, atmospheric rivers pounding California. Does this prove climate change? Short answer, no. Weather is not climate. One warm month doesn't prove global warming. One cold month doesn't disprove it. Climate is measured in decades, not days or seasons. What we're experiencing right now is weather variability. And weather has always been variable, always will be. The jet stream has always had wobbles. Arctic air has always made excursions south. Atmospheric rivers have always hit California. The question about climate change isn't whether these events happen, but whether their frequency or intensity is changing over long time periods. That's a different discussion requiring different data. For now, we focus on the weather at hand, the patterns affecting people this week and next. And those patterns are bringing significant winter weather to millions of Americans. Let me give you a regional breakdown, because I know people want specifics for their area. New England, Boston, you're looking at 3 to 5 inches of snow from this system. Could be more if the track shifts north. Portland, Maine, similar numbers. Interior New England, especially higher elevations, could see 6 to 10 inches. New York City, the 7-inch forecast stands. Could be higher, could be lower, but that's the best estimate. Albany, you're looking at significant snow, maybe 8 to 12 inches. Syracuse, similar numbers. Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, complicated. Could be snow, could be sleet, could be rain. The forecast is difficult because you're right on that temperature line. Harrisburg, similar challenge. State College, you're cold enough for snow, maybe 4 to 6 inches. Pittsburgh, probably a mixed bag. New Jersey, northern New Jersey, solid snow, maybe 5 to 7 inches. Central Jersey, mixed precipitation likely. Southern Jersey, probably rain. Maryland, Baltimore, mostly rain with perhaps some snow at the start. Western Maryland mountains, significant ice potential. Rain, maybe some snow to start. Northern Virginia, rain. Maybe a brief period of snow, but rain takes over. Ohio, mostly missing this storm, but the cold air behind it affects you Tuesday into Wednesday. Michigan, you get some snow from the system ahead of this one, a few inches across the UP and northern lower Michigan. Wisconsin, same story. Snow from the earlier system, then the big cold plunge Monday into Tuesday. Minnesota, light snow, then brutal cold. Single digits for highs Tuesday. And across the south, from Texas to Florida, you miss the precipitation but get the cold air. Freezing temperatures as far south as the Gulf Coast by Tuesday night. That's unusual. Not unprecedented, but unusual. And it matters for agriculture, for infrastructure not designed for hard freezes. Now, here's something important. The forecast will continue to evolve. Thursday morning, we'll have much better clarity. Models will come into agreement. Meteorologists will have higher confidence. Until then, we work with the information we have. We prepare for a range of possibilities. We stay flexible. That's wisdom. That's prudence. That's how we navigate uncertainty. And uncertainty isn't bad. It's just reality. We live in a complex world where outcomes aren't always predictable. That requires humility. Requires admitting we don't have all the answers. Requires trusting in something bigger than ourselves. For me, that's faith. Understanding that I can study weather, forecast weather, communicate weather, but ultimately I'm not in control of weather. There's freedom in that. Freedom from the pressure to be perfect. Freedom to do my best and leave the results in higher hands. Now, as we approach the end of this forecast, let me leave you with some final thoughts. This storm Thursday and Friday is significant. It will impact millions. It will disrupt travel. It will create hazards. But it's not the end of the world. It's winter weather. We've dealt with it before. We'll deal with it again. What matters is how we respond. Do we panic? Do we ignore it? Or do we prepare wisely and help our neighbors? I vote for the third option. The cold air next week is notable. First sustained cold of the winter. It will feel shocking after the warmth we've experienced. But it's also normal. It's winter. Cold air in January is exactly what we should expect. And looking ahead to the rest of January to February, the pattern suggests more active weather, more cold intrusions, maybe more snow events. That's not a threat. That's information. Information you can use to plan, to prepare, to live wisely. Weather happens. Our job is to understand it, respect it, and work with it. And when storms come, when cold air arrives, when challenges present themselves, we face them together. That's the message. That's the forecast. That's the truth. Stay informed. Stay prepared. Stay connected to your community. The next 48 hours bring clarity to what's still uncertain. And whatever happens, we'll navigate it together. Because that's what we do. That's who we are, and that's who we're called to be. Until the next update, stay safe, stay warm, and keep watching the skies. The best is yet to come.